Good evening, everyone. It is a little bit after 8 o'clock here on Wednesday evening. I wanted to get on and do another video look at the latest model runs for the storms and likely severe weather that we're expecting to see really across much of central, northeast Texas, along with parts of southeast Oklahoma, much of Arkansas, northern Louisiana, all the way into Mississippi and maybe even kind of southwest Tennessee. So, pretty volatile atmosphere setting up for tomorrow. This looks at some of the composite reflectivity or kind of the simulated radar, and this is looking at 21Z tomorrow, which would be kind of right around 3 p.m. Central Time. So we can see a lot of storms popping up. Before we get kind of looking at the simulated radar here, do want to take a look at the environment like we always do. And I guess first off, probably start with looking at what the Storm Prediction Center has issued for tomorrow. So when we look at our day 2 risk here, we have a level 4 out of 5 moderate risk here in red. And so this area right here in red is really setting up for the potential for some pretty significant severe weather. And so this area kind of right here that you see in red, kind of just on the eastern side of DFW, northeast Texas, and Arkansas and Louisiana. That's kind of the center bullseye, but obviously this enhanced risk, the orange here, this is a level 3 out of 5. This includes much of north, central, and east Texas, including DFW. So significant severe weather is expected. This looks at the tornado threat. This red contour is a 15% tornado risk. And all these little line bars here, this is called a hatch. So the potential for some long-lived, significant tornadoes here. So definitely a dangerous day setting up. We could also see some pretty significant hail really across north and central Texas, especially, again, bullseye northeast Texas into southeast Oklahoma, southwest Arkansas, kind of the extreme northwestern Louisiana around the Shreveport area. Also could see really significant wind. Again, same kind of target areas there, but looks like Thursday's setting up for a pretty significant severe weather day. So let's go back, look at some of the latest model runs here. And let me click here. We'll look at the kind of the overall environment first. Kind of starting here, kind of mid afternoon or so. Do want to look at the upper atmosphere. We talked about this a little bit last night. We've got this big trough coming through the southwest into New Mexico, then up through the Panhandle and into Oklahoma. We can see these bright colors, again, 110, 115 mile or knot wind speeds. So this is kind of looking at the jet stream level up in the atmosphere. Plenty of that extreme forcing and wind speed there. When we look at winds a little bit closer to the ground on what's called that low-level jet, we can see some of these winds when we move forward in time a little bit. This looks at 4 p.m. We have these strong winds behind the cold front coming out of the west across kind of West Texas here. Then we also have a little bit of this increased winds here across east, northeast, kind of central Texas. This is a little bit of that lower level jet picking up kind of out of the south, even a little bit out of the southeast here. That gives us some lower, not lower wind speeds, but certainly the wind direction near the surface coming out of kind of the south-southeast. And then like we looked at above, we've got those upper level winds kind of coming out of the west-southwest. So we've got that turning wind with height to help these organized storms and severe storms and even supercells form. So we've got the ingredients when it comes to wind shear certainly in place. When we look at the atmosphere, look at dew points and just the moisture content that we have, ample moisture in place, kind of mid-60s dew points all the way into southeast Oklahoma, getting close to even 70-degree dew points, really all across east and central Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi. Really no questions, no concerns with moisture. We've got more than enough moisture for a pretty significant day of severe weather. Next thing that we always want to look at is kind of the instability and some of the ingredients that we look for severe weather. This looks at, again, about 4 p.m. And when we go forward in time a little bit, we can see these colors, kind of the yellow and blues. We can see, somewhere between 1,500 and close to 2,000 joules per kilogram of this is surface-based CAPE. So really just kind of looking at the instability available, and we can see kind of all these shaded areas. Certainly more than enough instability for severe storms here. So that's something definitely want to keep our eyes on. Another thing that we can look at is this energy helicity index. This gives you kind of a parameter that looks at not only where wind shear is present, but also that instability through moisture and heating. And so we can see some of these values, kind of these oranges and reds, kind of southwest of DFW, arching up kind of across DFW. This would be right about 5 o'clock Central Time. So certainly a lot of the environments in place for significant severe weather here across northeast Texas and kind of north and central Texas. So all of that's in place. We've got the instability, all of the ingredients for severe weather. Now let's look at some of the simulated kind of radar and what the storms may look to do. I do want to start a little bit earlier in the day, kind of here a little bit even before lunchtime. We can see these initial storms kind of popping up over north central Texas here. Maybe a couple storms embedded out here in kind of northeast Texas. But watch here as we move forward in time. Let's go 2 hours ahead, kind of around 1 p.m. We can see a lot of these storms really picking up here across north central Texas. And then when we move forward another 2 hours and we get to, let me make sure this is working here. Yep, 2 hours. So we go to about 4 p.m. We can see this complex of storms really taking shape here kind of along the Red River, DFW area, and points northward. And then this additional line forming here kind of to the southwest of Dallas-Fort Worth, really all the way from the Edwards Plateau up over kind of the northern hill country, all the way up to near the Red River. And so this is going to be this second line. We've kind of got these initial storms here, kind of along this warm front that's lifting up to the north with some of these temperatures and dew points moving up north. And then we've got the secondary line of storms down here, and this is really the dry line and cold front, and it's going to be pushing out to the east kind of through the afternoon and then evening and overnight hours. I think that's going to be the main severe weather for much of the area is from the cold front, and as we kind of follow this forward in time, it kind of continues to move off to the generally to the east, and goes through Dallas-Fort Worth and Waco and along I-35 and continues to push east. So could see certainly severe wind gusts with that. We could also expect to see hail and even some tornadoes that could kind of spin up along that line. And so I think that this initial kind of cluster out here certainly could see a couple tornadoes, some hail in that, and then the secondary line along the cold front. Again, maybe a little bit less of a tornado threat, but more of a severe wind threat with also some hail in there as well. So just to give us an example of kind of what these storms might look like, let me go to sounding right here. Let's pull this and kind of look at this environment. So again, this is kind of looking at around that kind of 4 or 5 p.m. time frame tomorrow. We can see 71 degree temperature, 66 degree dew point. So certainly a good profile there to see severe weather. This area really between the red and the dashed white line, this is all the instability that's present in the atmosphere here. We can see these wind barbs here at the surface coming out of the southeast, then more of a southerly component a little bit higher up, then starts to come out of the southwest, and then even almost more of a due west. So we've got that turning winds with height. The storm slinky here, you can kind of see how as you move up, those winds start to turn. We can see the curvature that we need here for rotating thunderstorms and tornadoes. Here at these lower levels, we do have that in place. So really all the ingredients are certainly taking shape tomorrow to see a pretty significant severe weather day. We'll have to see how the day kind of progresses and how the storms evolve, but definitely a day that I would make sure that your severe weather plans are in place, have a way to get watches and warnings, whether that's your phone or TV, social media. Make sure that you're kind of watching that because could be some significant weather, especially around rush hour in the Metroplex. And don't want to get caught out on the roads with storms moving through or hail or tornadoes or anything like that. So I'll definitely try to be out tomorrow evening looking at the storm. Plan to do a live stream and chase some And again, we'll see how the atmosphere evolves kind of overnight and then into the early part tomorrow. But it looks like a couple different rounds of severe weather can be expected, and certainly could see a pretty significant severe weather event for tomorrow. And it's now March, and that's kind of starts the storm season here in the kind of southern plains area. So maybe a little bit of an early start, but really kind of entering into the heart of severe weather season. So this might be our first taste kind of the year here in the southern plains for the March, April, May storm season. So everyone stay safe out there, and hope this video was helpful.